Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So, they said that English is an international language, but sometimes I think it's actually a secret code assigned to make all of us look confused. Imagine for a second you are a Malaysian agent that on a mission in London. You walk into the cafe and try to blend in and then you say, "Excuse me, can you give me some water?" The barista stop, the music stop, everyone will ask you. Why? Because in London, you just identify yourself as a foreigner, but can connect with them, with their language. Now imagine the opposite of the London, which is on the American. You go into the Los Angeles, you pull up into the gas station, and then you yell, "My car need a petrol." The American guy looks at you, and then your what? Your car? Your key? What? Your car? He says, "Oh, your car." Why didn't you say so? In that moment, a single letter, the letter R, become the difference between getting away and getting caught by the police. This isn't just a funny movie. This is what we call linguistic of a variation. When the American says wah, de, and the British say wah, they are participating in a realizational variation. Specifically, something called the flapping and glottalization. When the Brit says car and then get caught in the middle in the battle of the accents, we learn Brit. In the Malaysian classroom, we learn British spelling, but at home, we're watching American TikToks. So today, I'm going to take all of you to a movie or many scenes, a clip, to exactly show how the phonological battle play out in the modern media, focusing on many aspects of phonological term. So without further ado, let's go to the video.
Stand. You got a better idea?
Yeah, I do. I said we move fast, creep along that tree line, and hotwire that car over there.
Keep your car. Your respect is good enough for me.
Alright, so we already see the second clip, which is the word car. So in British, it sounds like car, but in American, it sounds like car. It's follow the R. Why? Because it's this in distributional variation, which is we can we can say rhoticity. So this is the king of accent differences. Distributional variation refers to where a sound is allowed to go. In non-rhotic British English, the phoneme R is forbidden from appearing at the end of syllable unless a vowel follows it. Its distribution is restricted. In rhotic American English, the R is free to appear in any position. That's why in American we can hear the R sound like car, but in British, the phoneme R is forbidden. That's why the British speaker often call it like car, like that. So when you watch the movie, the clip that I show all of you, you can notice that the British speaker doesn't just drop the R, they replace it with lang because the R is gone. The vowel before it expands to fill the space. This is specific phonological process that result in a long, elegant sounds like car. In contrast, the American realization involves a retroflex R, where the tongue tip curls up and back toward the hard palate, creating a growling quality that is very distinct in the modern Hollywood media. And we can hear the sound car, so we can hear the R clearly on the American speaker. That's the explanation why the word car is different in the American and British English. Not enough example? Let's look at our next clip.
So, but what was funny was how close he thought I was to he said the resemblance.
that's the first video, which is we can see how the words thought, Though-T, that be spoken by different accents, which is in British they often will say it's long rounded R sound like tough. In American they pronounce it like thought, but in British it's tough. So basically this happened because in British English there is a clear systemic distinction between words like Lord and tough. However, in many American varieties found in media, we see a systemic merger, often called the court-calf merger or father-border merger. This means the American speaker has fewer vocal categories in this area of their vowel inventory, often making tough sounds almost identical to the ah sounds in hot, like hard, like that. This refers to the physical realization of the vowel. The British speaker use lip rounding and higher tongue position. In contrast, the American speaker's realization is rounded and lower in the mouth, creating a flatter sound often heard in Hollywood films or the scene that I showed you before. So that's for the first word, which is the word tough. So now we can see what actually the main part or the phonological term that happen in that one word that can point out many difference. However, they still speak English, but the way they speak is different. So we go to the next word and the next clip. Let's go.
Brits rewriting history, huh?
All I know is it wasn't me that was thrown out of a 4-story window.
I jumped out of a 4-story window saving my partner's life.
Okay, so the next clip is from the movie of Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw, and we can see The Rock and Jason Statham, both of them says the word window, and both of them is originally from American and British. So we can see the difference how the word windows has been pointed out. So in the British, which is Jason Statham, he state like window, but in American, The Rock point out the word window like window. This is because a diphthong is a glide from one vowel to another. So the nucleus is the starting point. So this is called a realizational variation of the, or we can say diphthong nucleus. So in the British realization of window, the nucleus is short, the most neutral central sound in English. It sounds like window. In American English, the nucleus is posterior, which is the back and rounded, starting much closer to a true O sounds. That's why we can hear The Rock say window. And the next part is stress and stress related features. In British English, is often described as having a clip rhythm. This is because they apply heavy vowel reduction to unstressed syllables. So the ow in the window is unstressed. So the British speaker makes it very short. That's why we can hear window. The O is unstressed. In American speaker, however, tend to give that final syllable more weight and color, meaning the vowel doesn't shrink as much. This contribute to the drawl often associated with American variety in movies. So when the final syllable giving more weight, or we can say we put the dumbbell on the final syllable of the word. So that's why The Rock pronounce it window, because we can clearly hear the O in the window. So that's for the third word. Without further ado, without wasting any time, we go to the final word or the final clip. So let's go.
Embarrassing me. I recognise you did what you had to do. Let's move forward. It's water under the bridge. Just make the match official.
Give me the water.
The glass can't hear you. Come on, me.
Now we already seen the fourth, which is the final clip, and the word is quietly like familiar to all of you, which is water. It appear on many movie, on many TikTok, but actually what the history or what the detailed explanation behind this word. So basically, consonant variation or alveolar flapping. This is the most famous realizational change. In American English, the T sound undergoes lenation or is weakened. When T is between two vowels, it is tapped or flapped against the alveolar ridge. It becomes voices, which is why it sounds like "the" to the listener. In British media, you will often hear a different variation where the T isn't a D sound, but a glottal stop, like water, like a stop. The speaker closes their vocal folds completely to stop the air, while the American use a tap. The British speaker use a catch, like that's why we can clearly hear water in the British and water in the American, like water, like that in American. So from the aspect of intonation and rhythm for this word, notice the R at the end. Because of a distributional variation, the British speaker end on a pure, soft schwa, the sound, like water, like that. The American speaker ends on a R collar vowel, where the vowel and the R are blended together. This makes the American word sounds harder and the British word sounds softer or more breathier. If you all can try yourself, you can if all of you can try yourself, you can feel the softer and the harder part, which is in American we can they say water. You can see and clearly hear the harder part, but in British you can feel it more softer, like water, like that. So that's 4 of the example that we can clearly compare the British and American accents. To wrap up our analysis, we have seen that the difference between general British and general American accents are not just a random sounds. They are governed by a strict phonological rules. We explore the distributional variation, we identify a systemic variation, and we also analyze the relational variation, and we also clearly state the intonation and rhythm of the word that we compare. So these aren't better or worse way of speaking. They are simply different realization of the same underlying language system. Or we can say, if you go to American, you will clearly say how the American people talk. If you go to the London or the United Kingdom, you can clearly understand what they are saying. So, how we to handle this in Malaysian classroom? In Malaysia, we are at a linguistic crossroad. Our curriculum is traditionally rooted in general British standard. We see this in our spelling and our textbook. However, our students live in a world dominated by general American media. As a future educators, I believe we should move away from the idea of perfect accents. Instead, we should focus on phonological awareness. If students say water instead of water, they're not wrong. They are simply adopting a different distributional or variation relational pattern that here in modern media. Our goal should be intelligibility. We should teach our students recognize this variation so they can understand better in this classroom, or they can understand a doctor from London just easily as a tech CEO from California. We should encourage them to be more accent aware rather than accent anxious or action perfectionist. So in conclusion, by understanding the mechanic of the vowel, the consonant shift across the word, we empower ourselves and our students to be global citizens. So whether you say car is not wrong. The most important thing is you have a voice and you are here. So that's all for me in my video. May see you next video. Thank you. Bye bye.